Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello, and welcome to the DU Digimon YouTube channel. In today's matchup, ShineGreymon piloted by Dan and Gallantmon piloted by Alex. Now, on paper, and bearing in mind this is before the release of BT13, as well as before the latest ban list in which the ShineGreymon from BT13 got limited to 1, this should be a cakewalk for ShineGreymon. ShineGreymon, as we all know, has been one of the most oppressive decks for the longest time, because it's just fantastic. It's a fantastic deck. It's got huge amounts of DP reduction. It's got Tamer related plays coming out the wazoo. Tamer punches, which no other deck really does, unless you really want to say that hybrids count as Tamer punches. It's got the burst mechanic, which of course is incredibly powerful. Does have access to trashing security thanks to the burst mode. It's just an incredibly oppressive deck. So powerful, so quick, so memory efficient. It's just got everything. Whereas Gallantmon, in comparison, as another protagonist deck, has always fallen a little bit short, which is a shame, because it's always been just kind of getting there, but never quite reaching where it wants to go. And I think it's kind of not gotten, it's not got its full identity just yet. It's getting there, and it's had its best results in BT13, but it's very much kind of fallen to the wayside compared to some of the other protagonist decks. Obviously Greymon is always getting support. I, as a Greymon player, completely recognise that we eat far too well. We get everything, whereas a lot of other decks don't, and Gallantmon is kind of one of those. Even though it gets support very regularly, it's not quite there, and it's a shame, because it's got a lot of really cool mechanics to it. It's got a lot of really good late game recovery, thanks in part mostly to the EX2 Takato. Really good card with that blitz effect. And that ability to give memory, especially in conjunction with the BT12 War Growlmon. Almost said War Greymon. Your Greymon's showing, Josh. but it's just all not quite there, and it's such a shame. I mean, maybe in BT14 it'll be made better with the offense training. Who knows? But the Japanese results for Gallantmon weren't that great. But, we'll just have to wait and see how things go. You never know. I do think Gallantmon surprises people. I think it is a lot better than people give it credit for. It is quite underrated. It can absolutely get things going, really quickly late game. It will surprise you with how much it can delete in terms of the size of the Digimon it'll take down. If you see Crimson Mode, that's it. Crimson Mode just ruins the game. But this turned out to be quite a good match between these two, and this was also set in a tournament. This is not a casual series match, this is a tournament series, so they are timed, and they are playing an actual game. So we will now go into round number 1. So Dan will be going first in this matchup. He starts off hatching Koromon, so he is playing the red base version of ShineGreymon. He then goes into BT13 Agumon. Really good for that main effect, but obviously in the raising can't do any of that. Then a little bit of thinking, and he goes into ShineGreymon from BT12, so he's starting a nice little stack in the raising. Then it's Alex's turn. He goes into Digimon, and then Digivolves into what he calls bad Guillaumon, because it always whiffs for him. It's never that good, especially in comparison to the EX2 Guillaumon, which I believe he's about to play. You'd think I'd know on account of the fact I've edited this video, but yeah, there it is. Yeah, I was right. So he goes into that. Also, whilst Alex is searching, little debate maybe. Is it Gigimon or is it Digimon? I would always say Gigimon, but there are people that disagree with me. I am a Digimon stan, old man Digimon stan. That is Digimon's name. He came first, so therefore to me it is Gigimon. But who knows? So Dan has now pushed up his ShineGreymon. He's just having a little think of what he's going to do next. He pays 4 memory and he goes into ShineGreymon X. Obviously not the best thing to have, but you know, it does go into the Marcus there. You know, ideally he'd probably want to evolve that ShineGreymon on top of another ShineGreymon, but then again, you know, it still gets him out the play, the tamer. He still gets to suspend on play and delete the Gearmon with the DP reduction and gain that memory as well. So, you know, he's given himself quite a lot of setup for the next turn, which is a really good play based on what his hand was looking like. Alex's turn now. He's now moved up his Gearmon and digivolves into the structured at Growlmon. Now, it doesn't have a when digivolving effect, but it does gain memory when you delete something. And then he goes into the War Growlmon from BT12, which is really good. If he doesn't delete something, he then gets to digivolve into a Gallantmon, or something with Gallantmon in its name. And he is going to go into the Digimon he searched earlier with the Gearmon. Also added the Takato off that effect. The Digimon gets to delete that ShineGreymon, and he gains 1. Yeah, so unfortunately he doesn't get to do the blitz play because he does not have Takato out, but you know, he still managed to clear the board, and Digimon probably is one of the better ones to have out, you know, if he doesn't have the blitz Takato available. Then Dan's turn, he hatches the Koromon and goes into Agumon. Then plays out the BT12 Agumon. I actually really like this Agumon. I use this sometimes in my Greymon builds, just because it's red for starters and it reveals 4. So the fact that it's red, it succeeds a lot of the other Agumon stuff. Like technically BT8 Agumon is a better searcher than it, but because of the fact it's a purely black Digimon, it doesn't always work out the way you want to. Then digivolves the Agumon into GeoGrey, so he does get to search through his security. Now what is interesting, and I do think Alex does pull him up on this, obviously you guys can't hear these two kind of talking, but I can whilst recording this. So I'm pretty sure he pulls Dan up later on the fact that he doesn't cut the deck. You know, is this something maybe that you guys feel quite strongly on? You know, if someone is searching the security, should they offer the cuts? You know, I do believe they should. I think Dan didn't do this on purpose, of course. He just forgot. We all forget. But you know, Alex will I believe pull him up on it later. So he's now continued with his turn. He's gone into that ShineGreymon and had the Marcus. Passing turn to Alex, who hatches the Digimon. Hatches into the structure deck Gearmon. So this is the warping one, really good for the late game recovery, especially in combination with that blitz Takato. You know, it has to be used in that specific junction though. You know, I know some people will who have done the warp and they don't have the blitz Takato out. It just becomes pointless, and you're just using up a Gallantmon for no reason. Alex then swings to get his draw off of the Digimon. Swinging on 12k, I believe. Clears the Agumon with ease. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, so this point is where Alex has now called up Dan on the fact that he didn't ask for the cut on the security, which is an interesting one, because you know, obviously Dan now knows what's in the security. You know, and although he did shuffle it, I believe, it's still obviously good courtesy just to cut it. But I think it's just a case of he just forgot to. I think this is one of our first tournaments that we've actually run down at DU. You know, so I forget effects all the time. My main one is start of main with Tai. Alex then goes into Gearmon X. He's just done that to get the extra draw. Obviously, you know, no other effects are going to go off there. And then he plays out the Takato. So he's now got access to Blitz when he digivolves, which I think is the scariest thing about Gallantmon. The amount of times I've misplayed and left that tamer on the board, and then they've managed to get that late game recovery. It's just a really cool card. So Dan is now having a little think about what he wants to do next on his turn. Pushes up the Agumon. and he gets that memory from the start of main phase effect, then pays 1 in order to make his BT12 Marcus into a Digimon. Having a little think about how to proceed. Then goes into ShineGreymon from BT12. So this is a really good card. Minus his 6k on the Digimon, minus his 6k in security as well. And also boosts up the Marcus and gives it security tap +1. You know, really strong little combo, you know. Then swings in with the Marcus. So he gets to do his when attackings first. Alex almost got a little bit premature there. So it gives another minus 2000k to the Digimon. So it's now down to 5k, I believe. So Marcus then goes through the checks, revealing Black Growlmon and Magma Bomb. So Magma Bomb was actually quite good here. Deletes the Digimon with the lowest DP, so off goes Agumon. So that's a cheeky little rookie swing that has just been avoided. So quite clutch there, really. And then bounces the Marcus back to hand and goes into the burst mode. Brings that Marcus back out again via the burst mode's effect and gives it rush and 12k. Swings in. Obviously, no longer has security tap +1, so instead Dan uses him to clear the Digimon. Burst mode then gets to trash the top, and he trashes the Takato. But then, little counterplay here, Digimon does have the on delete to play out a Takato, that very Takato that just got trashed from the security, so that's unlucky. And then also the EX2 Gearmon, so he then gets to get his searches going off again. So, gets to add a Takato or a Gallantmon in name, or a Gallantmon in name, or Growlmon in name. And just looking over his options. And he adds that BT12 War Growlmon. I think that's the best level 5 in the deck by far. It's so good. Everything else goes to the bottom. Yeah, the BT12 War Growlmon is just a really cool Digimon, you know. If we don't delete something, just go into a bigger dude immediately. It's great, especially with the Blitz. Burst mode then swings in, revealing Growlmon. So it clears that very easily. Then for 5 cost, plays out another Marcus. So he gets to then, on play suspend, delete the Gearmon, gain a memory, leaving Alex on 4. Shine then goes back to the trash, so burst mode goes off and reverts back to ShineGreymon, and then Marcus goes back to being a tamer as well. So from this position, looks quite bad for Alex. You know, there's a level 6 on the board against him, 3 tamers on the other side as well. But he does have those 2 Blitz Takatos. And this is where Gallantmon, I think, shines. Where it it's the later parts of the game Gallantmon does really well. Early game, not so well, because there's less things to delete and less things to kind of really capitalise off of. But late game is where Gallantmon starts swinging into it. Which possibly is why it's kind of taken a while for Gallantmon to get to any sort of place, and why it's never really had that meta relevancy, because of the fact it feels very slow in terms of its build up sometimes. But it can surprise you with how quickly it can move. Obviously, you know, Gallantmon players can let me know in the comments, you know, just how good Gallantmon can be. I'm very much talking from an adversary point of view, because I've never actually played Gallantmon myself, but I've played against it quite a few times. So Alex then is just asking Dan a few questions about how the tamers work, and just so he can try and get the ball rolling. He then goes into Growlmon. Now obviously he can't play out a Takato because he's already got some, but he does get a DP boost in the Inheritable, which could help him later. Then goes into that War Growlmon he searched before, tries to delete something, nothing there. So he then digivolves into a Gallantmon in hand and goes into the BT12 Gallantmon. Obviously has the raid, but not really applicable here because all of Dan's Digimon are suspended. Gets the blitz off the Katos. Swings him. Draws in thanks to Digimon. It's at 14k. Tries to delete something, but because there are no targets, he gets a Trash Security instead. Trashes the ShineGreymon, which is quite good. That could have been quite a hard thing to beat over. He beats over the ShineGreymon, so this is without raid because ShineGreymon is suspended, but beats it over. He gets to draw again. He gains 2 off of the Gallantmon's effect because there's no Digimon in play after the attack, and then also gains a memory off of each of the Takatos to pass it back to his turn. Really efficient turn. This is what I mean about Gallantmon. It's got such a good ability to bounce back, right when you need it to. It could just take you by surprise. The amount of times where I've thought, oh yeah, I've got him, and then they just come back, from the brink, if you will. It's really cool. I think it's a really fun deck, and there's definitely a lot of people that have a lot of love for Gallantmon because of this kind of, almost risk factor to it. Then plays out the red memory boost, so he gets another search. And I believe he adds the BT13 Gallantmon. I'm not too sure if he plays it this game, but we'll see. Again, you think I know because I've edited this. Dan's turn, he goes into the Koromon and then hard plays the Agumon. So he gets the main effect to turn a Marcus into a Digimon. And Dan just having a little think on how to proceed here. Tries to swing with the Agumon, then realises that it has summoning sickness, so he can't do that. So instead, I believe he then is going to swing in with the Marcus. He may prove me wrong in a couple of seconds. Again, you'd think I'd know what's going on. I've edited this. But, I'm just here to talk shit over Digimon. Yeah, there you go. He swings in with the Marcus and he clears the Gearmon. Obviously, if you guys would prefer a more professional touch when it comes to these videos, let me know. Otherwise, for the time being, I'm just going to be casual as anything. I'd prefer to be casual and promote more casual content as well. As well as tournament situations like this. Digivolves then into the Rise Greymon, so he gets to play out another Marcus. I don't believe there was a target. Digimon is then hatched. Then Alex asks the ever important question with Gallantmon: how much in trash? And this is when you know Gallantmon is getting ready to just wipe you off the face of the planet. As soon as you start asking about the trash, they just start hedging your bets on the fact that you're probably going to lose. Because once there's enough in that trash, this is when Gallantmon really shines. So he's asking if there's anything on blocker or anything like that. Obviously really good in terms of your general play. Ask if there's anything defensively going on with the other side of the board, because you don't want to be taken by surprise whilst trying to make an offensive swing, especially when it comes to finishing the game. He plays out the EX4 Gearmon. I really like this Gearmon. I actually tried to play it in Titamon of all things, but found I never was building enough in my trash really. He gets the rush. And then swings in with that Gearmon, just do a little cheeky check. Runs into a ShineGreymon burst mode, who completely wipes the floor with Gearmon, of course. Then he's got enough in his trash. And he digivolves into Crimson mode, and this is where, if Crimson mode comes out, I'm sorry, the game's over. Deletes the Rise Greymon, which Dan isn't too happy about because of something in his hand that he does reveal in a bit. Trashes the 2 security, and the attack goes through, and that's game 1 complete. He then reveals War Greymon Ace in his hand. This is what Dan was hoping to do as a defensive play. Plays it as a little spicy tech because War Greymon Ace can be played on a level 5 with Greymon in name, irrespective of colour, so really cool. But yeah, that is Dan's loss there. Alex's win with the Gallantmon stuff, and it's exactly what I mean. Gallantmon can really surprise you with the bounce back of the deck. It's just really, really good late game recovery, which is missing from quite a few decks. So Dan chose to go first. He then goes into Koromon and into Agumon, looking very much like game 1 so far. And then he just passed his turn, unfortunately. Digimon comes out. Alex then hard plays the Gearmon for a search. And he adds in the War Growlmon, which is a really good card actually for Alex, because it does get to do some more milling to fill up the trash on either side, and then also allows to, I believe, play a Takato as well. Obviously, anyone let me in the comments, let me know if that doesn't come up, because I actually can't remember if he ends up playing that War Growlmon. Then hard plays the Takato, so, you know, not the best start for either player here, but at least for Alex, he has got a tamer that he needs later on, and obviously ShineGreymon doesn't have tamer deletion at its disposal. You know, against some other decks, you know, Black War Greymon, etc., you know, playing out a tamer this early could be an issue, but in terms of this game, you know, I think it's fine. Dan then goes into the ShineGreymon from BT13, gets to search the security again. Interesting to see if Dan does remember to allow Alex to cut. Obviously, let me know if you think it should be etiquette to allow someone to cut your security if you've shuffled it. I do personally believe that, and again, this isn't a dig at Dan at all. We all forget things. I forget things so many times. You know, in fact, with the deck profile I put on Monday, you can see it in clear view. There's during the test hand process, I should have triggered the Yuya at either on the Greymon X evolution or the Metal Greymon X, and I didn't. And in terms of an actual regionals, someone could definitely call me up on that. So you've got to remember the sequencing of your effects and make sure you're triggering them at the right time. Dan then goes into the Rise Greymon X, looking so similar to Game 1 right now, and plays out the BT12 Marcus. Alex's turn now. Has a little think about what's going to go on here. So he then considers something which I believe he does end up doing, but doesn't actually do anything. Yeah, he is going to do that, isn't he? Yeah. Again, you'd think I'd know because I've edited this video, but I'm so forgetful. He even does say that this is really bad for him, and it is. He goes into Gallantmon, and why is this bad? Doesn't get the rush, and worse, the on-play does not go off, because Rise Greymon X is right in the threshold that Gallantmon can't delete. So Gallantmon can in fact, he was so appalled by that the camera moved. I don't know if you noticed that. I might need to get more of a sturdy filming arm. Dan's turn. He then hatches into Koromon from BT5. Plays out the Agumon, so he gets the main effect to turn a Marcus into a Digimon, but he forgets to trigger it. And then ShineGreymon is Digivolved on top of that Agumon. There's a little thing about what to do. Obviously, he's forgotten to make his Marcus into a Digimon, which is unfortunate. Then goes into the ShineGreymon. And then, because he's forgotten to do the Marcus play, he then goes straight into burst mode to play out that Marcus, give it rush and give it 12k, so now it is a Digimon. Swings into security on that 12k. Deletes the Gearmon. And it's Takato. So, obviously Alex already has Takato out, but as we saw with Game 1, 2 out, that 1 extra memory counts, you know, it can really make a difference. Burst mode then swings in, and Dan also did actually forget to do the trashing effect as well. Sometimes, you know, we just forget things if we're getting more into a loop. You know, if we've taken a loss, for example. You know I do that all the time. I believe that was the warping Gearmon there in security. Then Digivolves into the Agumon for BT12 and plays out the 5-cost Tamer. Does the on-play, does minus 3k, and gains 1. Then Burst Mode goes back to being normal, Marcus goes back to being normal, and again, this looks very much like a board that is not in Alex's favour. He Digivolves into Digimon X over in the raising area. He's only got his BT13 Gallantmon out, but it is bigger than the ShineGreymon. And he declares into it. So sometimes this is the best thing to do. Because he's also done the when attacking, he gets to delete that GeoGreymon. And that clears the board. You know, I think that BT13 Gallantmon, yeah, it does have the awkward threshold with when it comes to certain Digimon, with, you know, usually the level 5s. It does still have a great amount of late game potential, especially in this kind of scenario where we've got just the right Digimon on board to actually get deleted. Then having a little think on what to do. Is it just... Sometimes this is what happens with Digimon. You get thinking and thinking, you get sweatier and sweatier, and you just... Oh, you're going through the motions. I believe that was hard play on the Wargreymon. Yep, hard play. Sorry, that was a blink and you'll miss it. But he hard plays the Wargreymon, so no when Digivolving, but it is there, so could be a potential thing to use if it does survive till the next turn. Dan then Digivolves the Agumon into GeoGreymon from the X4. Doesn't get that start of main, but the inheritable could be quite good for getting the draw. Does suspend the Marcus in attack into security. Reveals the Geomon, so no suspending there. Does then also attack with GeoGreymon as well. Now I'm wondering if he maybe should have been a little bit more cautious here. Because he's got 5 security, there's not too much in trash. You know, maybe he should have built up in the rest raising area a little bit more. But then again, I'm quite a cautious player, so I do often turtle shell. You know, everyone's got the different playstyles. Then Digivolves into the Rise. Alex's turn now, and the Wargreymon did survive, and he has got Blitz-Staccato out, so he does have the Gallantmon in hand, as you saw it there, the BT12 one. So he does have access to the Blitz. And I believe he'll be able to actually pass turn to himself again. Be interesting to see if he does do that. Again, you think I know. Then having a think of whether or not to leave the Geomon. He decides to actually leave Geomon in the raising, which I think is the right call. You know, you don't always want to have everything out at the same time. You don't always want to, you know. Then asks a little question just to see what the DP of Wargreymon Ace is. Because he now knows that is in hand. Sometimes you know you've got to hold some of your cards close to you. Don't always reveal it. Then goes into Gallantmon and does that blitz play, of course. He does declare into the Rise Greymon, which is suspended. Gets the trash because there's nothing to delete with the 6k or less effect. Deletes the Rise. No Wargreymon Ace in hand. Then gains 2 because there was nothing on field, and gains 2 from the Takatos, passing it back to his turn. You know, again, that bounce back. That bounce back of Gallantmon is just on pure show there. Because now he can attack him with the other Gallantmon, which he does do. Clearing GeoGreymon. And then plays out his own memory tamer because, of course, Dan also has one. It's a really efficient turn there. And yeah, it's just one of the things I think people do underestimate Gallantmon. Dan then goes into Koromon and then into Agumon. And then into GeoGreymon, all in the raising. Plays out the Agumon, so he gets a search. Reveals top 4. there, I believe, is the Wargreymon Ace. I don't think he does add it, though. Oh, no, he does add it. He does add it. And then everything else to the bottom. Alex's turn. Draws. Goes up to 3 thanks to the memory Takato. Brings out the Gearmon X. Now is the time. Actually, I think the first time he's actually pushed something out of raising this game. I could be wrong. Let us know. Because that Agumon is out, the trashing effect won't go off because it will delete something of 6k or lower. Swings in with the Gearmon X. Gets the draw off the Digimon. Agumon, which Gearmon X does clear because it's on 3k. Asking for the cards in trash. I think it's because he's got the Rush Gearmon in hand. Tried to see it there, but I couldn't see it then. The 20 in trash isn't quite there anyway. Gallantmon then swings him, deletes the 6k or lower. Deletes clears the Agumon. And then Gallantmon goes off. Nothing to delete, so he trashes the toss, and that is the last swing for the game. So Gallantmon just 2-0'd ShineGreymon. Never underestimate that deck. Never underestimate it. It's got such a good bounce back. But yeah, that is that full match. Well done to both players for playing there. And
well, wasn't that fun? If you spotted any misplays, had any opinions on our deck builds, or if there were any specific matches you wanted to see, please let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this match. If you did, make sure to like the video, hit the subscribe button, and ding that notification bell. The channel will be bringing out videos once a week, every Wednesday at 6 o'clock British Standard Time. We've got plenty of ideas in store for this channel, so we'll be increasing our upload schedule sometime soon. Until next time, keep it digital.